Um, so welcome everyone. So today we're going to look at configuring and running Suricata, and also we're going to take a look at a malware sample, do a little dynamic analysis on it. So it is called the Arkei stealer. So it steals credentials in the user's browser, and it's like can steal like crypto keys. So should be an interesting meeting. So I don't have any slides for you today, so I'm just gonna start off sharing my screen, and then we're going to look at configuring Circada. All right. So we're going to head to the IA lab, go to the project section. Then you're going to want to enter your information here.
What's his battery?
His battery.
Yeah.
Well, I've got it plugged in.
Oh, okay. So
All right, so here you should see a few VApps. I think you can use really either of them, but I would just recommend you use this, the one that just has your first name, last name, and malware club in it. I'm going to use this one though because I've already configured Suricata on the one in the middle, so I want to be able to follow along and do the same, enter the same commands as you. So I will use this one right here. So also, so once you get that started up, so you're going to want to go to VApps, and then you click on this actions, and then power, and then start. And then once you get that started up, you're also going to want to create a snapshot in your Flare VM. So we're going to start with the Remnex, but later on we're going to be analyzing a malware sample, time permitting. So you're going to then want to go to, once you have it started up, just right away. Well, actually, first you should probably download the malware sample itself. So first we'll do that. So you can either if you have the remote console, I recommend using that. But if not, you can just use the web console. So I would assume by now probably everyone knows how to go to the drive and download the sample. So if I guess a raise of hands, and anyone on Zoom can use the hand icon, or so does anybody not know how to download the malware sample from the malware club drive? If so, I can walk you through that process. Okay, I'm not Dr. Brizendine or Evan, is anybody in the audience raising their hands? Okay, I'm not getting a response from them, so for now I will. Oh, I do have something in the chat. Okay, so somebody's asking, are we in Flare VM? So we're going to start actually in the Remnex VM for running Suricata, but to analyze the malware sample later on, we're going to want
I
to
don't know which VM to be in.
go to Flare VM. Oh, sorry, Bramwell, what were you saying?
I think it's just this one. I have this here.
Okay. So yes, so the first thing though that you'll want to do is
Yeah. So you've got the is that the development one?
I'm-
Yeah. So it's these three, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
okay, I'm just going to briefly just download the sample, show you where the sample is on the malware club drive. So if you're not sure which VApp that you have to be in, it's well, you could use any of them. I'd just recommend using our regular one, the one with your first, last name, and then malware club. So okay. right, so we want to go to Chrome. And then
We can't see if you're trying to show us something.
okay, hold on 1 second.
We just see the project. Oh, there we go. We can see Google now.
Okay, great. Okay, so you're going to want to go to drive.malwr.club. And there should be a folder right here. So it's the 1117 Arkei. And then you just want to download this file. You're then going to want to unzip it. The password is the same password that you use to access the Zoom. So I'll just write that down if anyone in the audience isn't sure, but it's Malware Club spelled like this. So then you want to extract it using this password right here.
Can we do the Windows 10?
You said we were going to use both.
Yeah, so for the using the malware sample, sorry, for the malware sample, you're going to want to use the Flare VM, but for Suricata, you're going to want to use the you're going to want to use Remnex. So let me just share my screen again. Hold on. Yes, so I was just having you download the sample for Flare VM so we can have the snapshot ready to go like later on. So you're just going to want to go here and then click create snapshot after you have Flare VM, after you have the malware sample installed onto Flare VM, you're just going to want to create a snapshot. So just I'll give maybe everyone a minute to do that.
And if you're trying to download something for Google or G Drive, you also have to log in order to download, just FYI.
Correct, yes. It will prompt you with a captive portal. If you're not seeing the captive portal, you can always do like.
Well, I don't mean
If
captive
you-
portal. You do want to do captive portal, but also you have to log into Google.
Oh, I have to.
Oh,
I
really?
don't believe you should. I will double
Maybe
check.
not
So
then.
I'll sign out of Malware Club and then I'll see if you have to.
Well, you don't have to double
Should
check
be-
out, and I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
What file was it again? I didn't quite catch it.
It's in the 11/17 Arkei.
Yep, I will share my screen with you.
And I'm not sure if Odin mentioned, there's also, he's going to have a contest connected to what we're doing tonight that will have some prizes available.
Yep, that is right. It's related to Suricata, but I'll announce that as we go forward with Suricata. But basically, it will be the contest will be to write your own Suricata rule, kind of like based on what we covered 3 weeks ago with the Suricata writing your own rules guide, and then also tonight we're going to go over running and configuring Circada. So then you'll have everything that you need to know to write your own rule. So I'll be discussing that in a little while. So is everybody is everyone at this stage now that we can proceed? Does everyone have the sample downloaded?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna move on. Okay. So let me just gonna share my screen again. So for Suricata, you're going to want to go onto your Remnex machine. So you just launch your console. Right, so first thing that we need to do is we need to install Suricata. So I'm going to go to the Suricata docs. The process itself to install Circada isn't very involved, so it won't take us too long. I just have to sign in. All right, so I'm not able to access the internet on this VM, so let me just check to see if pfSense is up and running. Might just have to restart the VM. Is anyone else
Try
able to get? Oh, yes.
Did you try captive.apple.com?
Let me try that one. Yeah, so I wasn't able to get to the Firefox one. Okay, I mean, that did give me a response.
Captive.apple.com.
Okay, yes, that worked. Okay, thank you. Yeah, for some reason the Firefox one was not working, but this one was. I think, is my screen shared at the moment?
Yep, you're all good.
Okay, perfect. All right, so yes, the first thing we're going to do is just install Suricata. So this won't take very long, so just go. So we just need to first install the dependencies for Suricata. So we're just going to, so it's going to be, just gonna search like, let's search like Suricata installation. And it should be the first thing that pops up right here. And then there should, then you can go down and there should be instructions for installing the dependencies for Suricata. So you're just going to want to copy these over, paste them into your Remnex environment. So, actually, we will want to run this as sudo though. So it's okay. Okay, it looks like, so on my machine, it looks like I already have all of the dependencies running. So, but for you, it will probably take like a little, like a few seconds just to get everything installed. The next thing we want to do is there are just some, you just have to add the Suricata repository.
Does anybody have any questions before he goes further? Go ahead, Odin.
Okay, all right, so then that will just add the Suricata repository. So that will allow you to get the most up-to-date version of Suricata. So then you just press enter to continue. And then that will add the Suricata, the Suricata's repository. Then you're going to want to update your packages, your repositories. And then you can install Suricata once you have those completed. So for me, Circada's is already installed, but for you, you might need to, it will install for you. So that's how you install it. So give everyone maybe a minute, and then we're going to move on to the next part, which is just configuring Suricata. All right, so to configure Suricata, there is a configuration file. So it's going to be at etc Suricata and then suricata.yml. Okay, it's not there. I thought it was there. Let's see.
Yeah, you forgot the A.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, thank you. It's, oops, nano. All right, so the first thing when you're using Suricata that you're going to want to configure is your home network and your external network. For our purposes, this includes just all of the different private IP addresses for that would correspond to your home network. But that is will be suitable for our purposes. So this is just for when Suricata rules will use like the home network and external network variables to like specify where the traffic is headed. So that's what this is used for. Oh, yes.
What was the folder path?
Oh, sure. So it's etc Suricata and then suricata.yaml. So actually I can zoom in my terminal a little bit so you can see better. Just do control, yeah. So it's going to be etc Suricata and then suricata.yaml. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to configure our network interface to use Suricata. So, Suricata, like as I discussed in the previous meeting, I mean, maybe some of you weren't at the previous meeting. So Suricata can detect network traffic that's running across your network interface. So if there's network traffic associated with a known malware strain, then Suricata can detect that. But in order for Suricata to do that, we need to specify the network interface that we're using. So to do that, to figure out what that is, we could just do ifconfig. And as we can see here, ENS160 is our network interface. So then we just have to specify that in the YAML file for Suricata configuration file. So to get there, if you're in the web console and you do, so in Nano, like to go to to search for like a specific string, you have to do Control-W, but don't do that because that will actually close your tab if you're using the web console. So if you're using the web console, what you can do instead is do Control-Shift and then dash, and then it's around line 580. So that's another reason why it's good to use the remote console, because when you do Control-W, it's not going to close your tab. But yeah, so I already specified here ENS160 for the network interface. So you just have to specify it here, and then when you go down, there's also another place that you have to specify it, I believe. Yep, like under PCAP, you just specify it right here for ENS160, and then that will capture traffic on your network interface. So, yep, and then the next thing would just be to add rule sources. So there are a lot of publicly available rule sources that for Suricata that detects a lot of traffic out in the wild for malware. One particularly good rule source is the ET open rule, the emerging threats rule set, which is the one that we're going to enable because it's free and it contains like a lot of rules that can get you started with Suricata. So to look at so Circada also has something known as Suricata update. So that has there are a list of rule sets that Circada provides to you that you can enable. So we can just do list sources. So this is going to list all of the sources for that Suricata has that you can enable. Some of these are paid, so we're not going to enable those. But we are going to use the ET open rule set for the purposes of this demonstration. But you're welcome to, like, during your own time, like if you want to explore any of these rule sets, you're more than welcome to. So to enable ET open, we're going to want to just select this, Control-Shift-C, and then go down, and then so it's going to be sudo Suricata update, enable sources, and then the name of the source that you want to enable. So we're going to use the ET open source. Okay, so something I did here was wrong. So enable sources. Oh, it's actually enable source, not enable sources. That's what I did wrong. Yep. So I already enabled it, but in your case, you'll get a different message. It will tell you that it's been enabled, like here. And then just to confirm that you have that enabled, you can do Suricata update, enable source, or actually no, not enable source. You go Suricata update, list sources, and then enabled, and that will list all the sources that are enabled. So in our case, it should show ET open. So yeah, then the next thing that you have to do is start up Suricata. So you can do sudo systemctl start and then Suricata. So that will start up Suricata. And then the next thing that we can test Suricata to see if it's working. So there is a log for Suricata that will show you a list of the alerts that were generated by Suricata will listen on your network interface, and then it will log all the alerts that are generated. So you can the log is available here. So it's /var/log/Suricata/fast.log. And so I was using it. Let's clear the log so I can better demonstrate this to you.
Is everybody
Yes.
okay? Any questions out there? Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Yep, and if anybody has any questions or if they're stuck during this process, you can feel free to raise your hand, and then I can Bramwell or Evan can stop me and I could help you. So let's see. So yeah, we're not RF, just RM. And then yes, and then I think that will just generate it, like regenerate it, I believe. So let's just try to so there are sites that you can use to like test your IDS. Some of them I found work for the ET rule set, some of them don't, but let's try this one, testmyids.com. Okay, so it's not a HTTPS site. So let's just see if that generated an alert. Okay, so that one didn't generate an alert. Let's see. I think if this one does, nope, okay. Let's see. Might have to restart Suricata. So let me try doing that. So you could just do sudo systemctl restart Suricata. And then that should hopefully work. You might also have to run, like once you activate the new rule set, you might also have to run Suricata update just to update those and load all of those rules. So I'm just going to do that to show you. So it's sudo and then Suricata -update, and that will load all of the new rules from the from the emerging threats rule set. So sometimes that'll just take a minute or two. I guess
And you
while we're
attended the Sericon in Boston recently, right?
That's correct. Yep. Yeah, I was I went to that, and Dr. Stroshine he's a graduate professor for the university, was there as well. So I met up with him, and I attended some of the talks related to Suricata. Like one was showing how Suricata can help when detecting like evasion techniques used in malware. So that was interesting. So yes, we're just going to try again doing the test. And yes, and as you see here, there is traffic was generated based on that alert. So we have some double user agent. So it's just detecting potentially bad traffic, and it's from our local IP to this remote IP here. So we can just verify that test my IDS owns that IP. So we do ping test my IDS.ca. So we get that IP does match. So as you can see, it was able to alert on this traffic. So this is just a website that's used to test IDS solutions to make sure that they're configured correctly. So that is that. The next thing that I want to show you is Suricata also has something known as an offline mode, where it can analyze packets offline. Like it can just, you can feed a PCAP to it, and then it will just run it on that PCAP. So that's good if you're testing Suricata rule, like if you're writing Suricata rules and you're trying to test them on known malicious traffic. That's this is a helpful way to do that. So I'm going to download, going to look for like a sample packet on malware hybrid analysis.
What about
This-
malware traffic analysis?
Oh, that's what I meant. Yes, thank you. Yes, malware traffic hybrid analysis is like a sandbox for analyzing malware, but malware traffic analysis has like a lot of they provide like PCAPs of network traffic that has been captured from known malware samples. So this can be useful for like just an analyzing traffic from malware, and we can use it in our case to test the IDS solutions, and like test Circada and see if any of this malware is being detected, like any of the traffic from the malware is being detected. We're gonna just choose one we don't want to choose the most recent one, because I want to make sure that that the emerging threats has a rule for it. So sometimes it could take them like a little while to write a rule, but so I'm gonna choose like an older one here, a little older, not like a couple, like a week or two. So you're going to want to download the PCAP, because that's what we'll be running. It's the PCAP. I'm gonna save the file. That's gonna go to our downloads folder. So it's just clean up the downloads folder. Okay. 11, 4. Okay, it should remove everything except this sample here, I think. Okay, yes. All right, so then we're gonna just want to extract this PCAP. The password is always going to be infected if you're downloading anything from malware traffic analysis. It's kind of like a standard password that you'll find with like a lot of malware, like malware repositories online. You'll find that infected is often the password that's used. So then we have the PCAP here. So we can run Suricata on this PCAP and see like if any alerts are being generated. So to do that, Suricata has the -R option. So I'll just show that to you here. The -R option will it will take a PCAP and then it will analyze all of the everything inside that PCAP. Like it will analyze that offline, and if it matches any rules, it will write into like there will be a log that you can review. So let's Suricata R and then it'll just take a few moments. So let's go back here. Actually, no, that was yeah, never mind. So yeah, this will just take a few minutes. While that's loading, I can just show you like where Suricata, where you can add Suricata rules. So that's going to be, should be a var lib Suricata rules, Suricata.rules. You can also specify like different files to load rules from the Suricata configuration. But right now, this should be sufficient for us. Okay, I forgot to do nano. Okay, so this is just, or this just shows all of the rules that we have. So if you wanted to write a rule, you could just, if you wanted, you could just add it right to the top and then you can write your rule there. So this has finished processing. So it's going to write, when it's running in offline mode, it will write the log to the directory where you are in. So we can just look at that here. And as we can see, there's a lot of traffic that was generated from that. It's detecting just Dridex, and then it's detecting here that a network Trojan. So that just shows how Suricata can detect known malicious traffic. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about is, we were talking about it and I wanted to do a contest for writing Suricata rules. So, so basically what that would involve is, you just, so I have the video posted from before, so it just shows you like how to write Suricata rules. So for the contest, I just wanted to do like whoever can write like the most sophisticated Suricata rule. You would want to keep in mind that you don't want to make it too specific. Like you want to make it broad enough that you're able to detect the malware sample on like different, like if there's like a different C2 server hosting like a similar payload, you also want the rule to be able to detect you want it to be able to detect that. So you don't want to do like, you don't want to hard into your Suricata rule, you don't want to hard code like a specific IP address or like a specific domain name. And generally it's also a good idea to avoid like doing like parameters in the post request. So basically, you also don't want to make it too generic that it will detect like benign traffic. So keeping in mind those considerations, basically the idea would be to like write your like the most sophisticated YARA rule that you can. And like in my last meeting, there's a video of it online, but I like go over the basics of writing rules, and also Suricata has a documentation. Oh, Bramwell, were you saying something?
Yeah, so if you're doing a contest and you're trying to make the most sophisticated rule, I think it's probably a good idea to have everybody working off the same PCAP or the same target.
That's fair. Yeah, I thought of doing that. I think I'm going to send an email like probably later this week, just to more like a more formal email, and I will include like a PCAP that you can use. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. I was considering that. So yeah, I'll pick like a specific PCAP that you can use. And then the idea will just be to write the most sophisticated URL rule you can. And so I'll have like the
Sophisticated yet,
first.
but effective, not overly sophisticated just for the sake of being sophisticated. Does that sound good or make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah, you want it to be like you want it to be efficient. Like you don't, yeah, like you don't need to make
You
it
don't
like,
like lines and lines and lines just to try to make it more sophisticated. Maybe we should redefine as a sophisticated, effective, best overall. And I think,
yes, and just how would you think we would measure like best overall? What, do you have any idea?
it's just, I think you and Evan are gonna be judges, so it just can be your subjective judgment, just looking at those three qualities: sophistication, effectiveness.
Yeah, and maybe like, so for example, Suricata has more options for uh like Circada has a lot more options than for writing rules than what we covered. So maybe it would be nice like maybe going into like the Circada docs and like exploring like looking at a few rules, like a few different options that we didn't cover in the meeting, and then that would also maybe like give you more make it a better rule as well. So I will send you like more information related to that probably
These are
this week.
gift cards for I think it'll be like the DSU bookstore, so we can give them to online people too, we can mail them. I don't know about redeeming them, you'd have to probably, we could find out about that too. You could probably do it through the mail, I would think.
Yes, and then so for the first place, we think of doing a $20 gift card, and then for the second and third, we were thinking of doing like a $5 gift card. But that hasn't been like finalized, but that's just the thought. Yep. Okay, so
Does anybody have any questions on Odin's contest? Yes, Max.
Would we just show it at like the next meeting then, or how would we like submit our rule?
It's a good question. I think it depends on how many we get. If there's only a few, then I'd say you want to share it. I'd say, yeah, let's share it. That's a good idea. I think if you also like don't want to share, I don't think you necessarily should be required to share it. What do you think, Evan?
I think so. Next meeting, we're gonna potentially be going over some like Python and malware analysis stuff, and it probably won't take up the entire time. So I think we'd have more than enough time for people to share their rules if they wanted to. Especially it'd be nice to get some people some speaking experience and just show off their thought process for that rule creation.
yeah, I agree. I wasn't sure if like 2 weeks was a good amount of time to give them, but I think that would be enough time. Yeah.
I would just
Great,
make your announcement like soon.
Yeah, thinking like tomorrow at latest. So yeah. Yeah, so that is
Actually, it's
Circada
not
today.
really 2 weeks because our next meeting is December 1st.
Oh, got you. Okay. Yeah, that is actually in 2 weeks from today.
Oh,
though.
yeah, it is 2 weeks. Time flies.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'm just going to the next thing well, first of all, does anybody have any questions related to Suricata? Anything about Suricata? I might not know everything about Suricata, but I can try to answer.
Suricata is something that is very widely used in the industry for many purposes, so regardless of whether you're going to be a reverse engineer or malware analyst, it's good to learn Suricata. Probably will learn it some in your defensive course, some in your malware analysis course. Okay, you had another topic, Logan?
Yes, yeah. I don't think this will take too long, but I just wanted to do some like brief dynamic analysis of a malware sample. So let me get a Flare VM up and running. So you won't see anything on the screen for a second, but I'm just gonna get Flare up.
And also, while we're waiting for him, is there anybody in this room that has desire of trying to become an officer in the club? No? Okay. Online? I saw.
I do see a
David
hand.
raise his hand.
Yeah, I do see a hand from David.
So we may
Yeah,
be having elections later on in the future. So that's something that we're trying to keep a list of people that are maybe interested. So we'll probably revisit that again at the beginning of next semester. We'll probably have a large influx of people from the malware analysis course then. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I think maybe for elections. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when to hold those. Maybe like when we come back.
I say
from
let's
the-
defer that till next semester, see what happens.
Sounds good. Yeah, maybe sometime in January. So, okay, so their next topic is looking at a malware sample. So this is a Arkei is like it's like steals information in like the user's browser. So it like it steals credentials, and it also like it steals crypto keys, I believe. Well, let's look a little bit into it. So Arkei stealer. So yeah, so it steals like credential information, logging credentials, crypto wallet keys. So that's what that's what it does. I'm going to like I did run going to probably show like Procmon briefly, like going to run it in Procmon. I already like discussed what Procmon is in another meeting, but I'm just going to run it in Procmon. I will say that like the first time when I ran it last night, I got a lot more artifacts than tonight. But if we don't get a lot of artifacts tonight, I ran it previously in ANY.RUN, which is like a malware sandbox. So I can, if we don't get much luck from Procmon, I can show you the results I got from ANY.RUN. And I got quite a lot of good results when I, like last night when I submitted it to ANY.RUN. So so the password is just, it's going to be, in fact, no, actually, this one is going to be Malware Club. So, maybe not. Okay, let me try that again. Okay, I must have typed it in wrong, but so you should have a snapshot created. If not, you're probably going to want to do that now. So go to Flare VM. You're going to just want to create a snapshot. Yeah, please make sure to create a snapshot before you run this malware, just so you can, once we're done, you can just revert the snapshot, and then so then there's no permanent changes made to your system by the malware. So first I'm going to run Procmon, just going to run as admin.
You said this was information stealing?
Correct, yeah, an information
So potentially
stealing.
it could steal person's passwords, so.
That is a good point,
reason
yeah.
Why you would want
If
to
you-
have a snapshot. Or use an alternate account not in here.
Yeah, if you have like any password saved into Google Chrome, you might not want to run it, because then it could potentially steal your passwords, but otherwise you're probably okay to run it. Either way, you probably shouldn't be like using any personal accounts in your in this VM, just in the future. Yeah. So, yeah, so
All the people
gonna
you have to authenticate with through Captain Portal. With their
that,
password.
yeah, that part is true. I don't think though that those like, that's not saved. I
Well,
don't
that'd
think
be like
anywhere in
key
the
logging.
browser.
I don't know what kind of information schema it does. If it does key logging, then it captures everything type.
Yes, that is correct. I didn't see that it was doing that, but yeah, but just don't, yeah, while you're running the malware, just don't like enter any sensitive information. Okay, so yeah, so once you run procmon, you're gonna want to uncheck capture events, clear display, and then you're gonna again want to recheck capture events. I'm just going through this briefly because this already explained procmon, so I don't want to like spend more time, like spend a long time explaining that. So clicking capture events and then going to run the sample here. Okay, so I have Windows Defender turned on. So I'm just gonna revert to the snapshot briefly.
Yeah, I had that Windows Defender on mine too. May possibly could have been an update. We may need to refresh these or something. Or give instructions on how to
Disabled.
disable it, yeah.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So I'm just gonna revert the snapshot and then I'll screen share with you like just how to disable it.
Or if you want, you could just show it in the app ANY.RUN.
That might be a good idea at this point, yeah. Just because we don't have, a ton of time left. So I'm just gonna hold on 1 second. Well, actually, I can probably just do that in my regular machine. So I'm gonna share my browser. All right, so ANY.RUN. All right, so let's go to my history. So here is the sample that was submitted, and this is the Arkei credential stealer. So these are so ANY.RUN shows you a lot of like indicators of compromise. It will show you like all of the processes spawned by the malware. It will like give you a full text report explaining like all of the there are like indicators that it will match on for malicious activity. So it can explain to you like the behavioral techniques in the malware. So that is very helpful. Like it gives you a very quick way to figure out what's going on in the malware. I guess the downside of it is that a lot of malware nowadays can detect when it's in a virtualized environment. So it can detect if it's being run by ANY.RUN, and then it might disguise some of its activity. So this here is just some traffic that was identified. So this is the actual executable being downloaded onto the victim computer. So this is like the command and control server. Then there are just like a lot of different domains that it's reaching out to. But the main ones that are the most important are like the ones that it's downloading the executables from. And then you can also see down here that they're downloading some DLLs. But let's see. So these are just the connections made. Let's look just at the IOCs. So this is just like so here are the hashes, and then it just identifies like all of the domains that the malware connected to. This one, I believe, is just Microsoft, but some of these are definitely look malicious. Like this one is the XYZ domain, is sometimes associated with malware. And then here are just some of the IPs that it identified that it connected to. So let's just look at some of the processes. So here we'll give you like some indicators of malicious activity. So it's showing here that this process connected to a command and control server. So that is commonly used to download the next stage of malware, and then a command and control server can also like send commands, like for example, like if it like I don't know if a malware like has the ability to like view like a victim's camera, like the command and control server could like send a command to the victim computer to turn on the user's camera. That's just like one example of what like a command and control server could do. So here are just some suspicious things that it's doing. So it's creating some files in the user directory. It's probably like, because it's downloading additional executables, so it's probably putting those in the user's directory. Reads the computer name, yeah, that's commonly used. So command and control servers will use the computer name to like identify each, because the command and control server will have like all of the victim computers. So it uses the computer name to identify each victim computer. Check supported languages. Sometimes threat actors like to target people like certain regions. So sometimes it will so that can be one reason. It's just also just fingerprinting, like finding out more information about the system that the victim is running on. Then also just checks the supported languages. So this one looks like it has a lot. Looks like the core executable that will actually do the information stealing. So as you can see, there were a lot of indicators that we could see here. So it's it's loading the executable. So here it's identifying that it is stealing credential data. It's stealing the credential data specifically from the web browser. It's changing the settings of system certificates, which is interesting. And then it was written from another process. So it was written from this process here. So let's see. Here it's using like the task kill command. So I guess it's like it's just it's just a way to like make it more, I guess, more difficult to detect. So it's like just deleting, it's like killing the task to make it just to make it harder to see like what's going on. I guess like it's like it's stealing the credentials, and then it's just killing the task here. So another thing that's kind of interesting is like the MITRE attack matrix. So it will like the MITRE attack matrix is like shows like categories of like different, like the techniques, tactics and procedures used by adversaries, and then it like categorizes them into like these different stages. So it will anyone will like categorize it. So it's subverting trust control. So this just gives you more explanations into a better explanation into like why is it changing the settings to the system certificates. So it says so it's just basically they're trying to undermine security controls that will warn users of untrusted activity. Interesting. So basically, it seems like it's trying to prevent the user from being prompted like with a warning when a file is being downloaded. So that's appears to be what's going on. So this just shows like, yeah, this just gives more like more context into what the adversary could be doing. So it's also, so it looks like, yep, it's just stealing credential data. Stealing personal data. It's also searching for installed software. So let's go back into the like there's a text report. That's the last thing I want to show you, and that will like give you a full report of like everything that's going on within the malware. So let's see anything that I didn't discuss. So no, yeah, I was just looking stealing credentials. It's reading like cookies. So it's reading the user's cookies. Sometimes the user's cookies will have like sensitive information, like they can store like the user's session. It can also, they can also like just contain like personal data about users. So yep. Checks Windows trust settings. So we looked at that before, like it's trying to disable the Windows trust settings. So the user isn't notified like when an executable is downloaded, just to make it a little more stealthier. So that's about it. Then you could just like here just has like some registry keys that the malware is making use of. And then like all of the different processes that were dumped by the malware, then just the network activity. So yeah, that pretty much covers it. I mean, not too much, like not a ton going on in the malware, just like a basic credential stealer that I wanted to show you. So yeah, that I think that wraps up this meeting. Next time, I think Evan wants to like show like a Python script that he's writing for, I think like network traffic analysis. But Evan, if you want to tell them a little bit more about that, you're welcome to.
Yeah, no problem. That's essentially what it's for. It's mainly going, the whole point of the project was to identify malicious HTTP requests and Python packet captures, and to just get extra generalized information about those requests. So that's kind of what it like looks for, those packet captures and pulls, and makes a nice summary out of.
And I also want to check to make sure the people in this room, you guys all wanting to come next Wednesday, December 1st, or raise your hand if you're wanting to come then. It's like 2 weeks, basically, I think.
Correct.
Like the last one. Okay, so we have enough to do it then. That's good.
Yeah, we just thought that would be a good date because the week after is, I think that's when finals are going on. So
Yep. And then after that, next semester we'll continue. We'll probably have a large influx of new people from the malware analysis course. When we started out, we had like as many as 50 people in person. Right now our numbers have dwindled a little bit. And we've kind of held back on doing some of the more advanced topics just because a lot of you guys were learning reverse engineering for the first time, or maybe you had never studied it, but I know a lot of people in this room have already in the reverse engineering course. And so we probably will increase the level of difficulty for other things that we will be doing in the future. So that might be something to look forward to next semester, be a little bit more sophisticated with what we're doing here. We
right, yeah.
intentionally tried to avoid like disassemblers or debuggers and just only cover them in a very limited context. So should be good and exciting.
Yeah, very much. And yeah, next semester I do want to start like looking at probably looking first we'll do like a little crash course on assembly language, and then I think I want to get started like
I think
looking
we already
at
know assembly. Well then,
everyone here does.
yeah.
Okay, I mean it
a
could,
crash course on assembly.
like a small review maybe, but
I don't
otherwise,
think we do that. No.
okay, we can
I
talk
think you'd
about it
know
later.
more people if you did a review of assembly.
All right, okay, well, that is all for today's meeting. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you, bye.